So today lecture number 13, Dhamma Group 9 and 10, and November 10, 2024. We have come to the last Dhamma Group, which is Dhamma Group 10. We start from Dhamma Group 2, right? All the way to 9 and 10. Today is the last one. I combine Dhamma Group 9 and Group 10 together. Dhamma Group 9 today is going to be only one group of the Dhamma. We call the stain or mala. We get to know that terms in a moment. And for the Dhamma Group 10, we will be combine the 10 wholesome action or kusalakamma and the 10 unwholesome action or Akusalakamma together. It's easy to study them together. And then we will touch on the 10 objects of regular reflection, which is Anussati, the 10 Anussati. Okay, so that's main Dhamma topic that we'll be discussing today. Okay, so what is mala? I don't know if you're familiar with this term. Most of us we familiar with the term of defilement, which refer to the kilesa. So if you study the text, sometimes you may came across the terms called kilesa, mala. They combine these two words together, kilesa, mala. And today we focus on this one, which is the mala, this word. They point to the same thing. Kilesa is the defilements of mind, right? This one, that crowded the mind. But the mala is another group of defilements. The Buddha grouped them together for a reason. There are 9 of them on the list. You think of the stain. When the window is stained by dust, if we were inside the house and we look through that window, we cannot see whatever outside clearly because the window gets stained. You have to remove it, you have to clean it, then you see things the way it's supposed to be. Sometimes you see a man walking, but it happened to be a woman because it's unclear. That's the idea of stain. And the term, the translation, you can think of the stain, you can think of impurity, you can think of defilements. Why the defilement has so many names? That's something you may wonder. Generally, this picture you may have seen it. We have body and we have the mind. The body also have disease. There are disease in the body. There are virus, fungus, bacteria that can cause harm to the body, and that's virus of the body. And the same thing, there is a virus of mind. Virus of mind, the Buddha discovered this long time ago through his meditation. We don't know much about the mind. The Buddha is the mind expert. He discovered the mind, human mind, and the nature of mind. One nature of mind that he discovered is this one. The mind has viruses. Okay? Something that harmed the mind, something that clouded the mind, something that defiled mind, something that caused us not to see things the way they are. It's coming down to the 3 roots of poison: the greed, the hatred, and delusion. If you look at this picture, may understand a little bit better. We group them into 3 groups of major defilement: the group of lobha, the group of dosa, and the group of moha. If you track them down, they stem from the same root, which is the avijja or ignorance. So avijja is like the big boss, which create or give rise to lobha and dosa and moha. And from this state onwards, state 1, the lobha, the dosa, and the moha, it gives rise to all kind of defilement from lobha, all kind of defilement from dosa, all kind of defilement from moha. And it's come up with different names. Sometimes we get confused. How come? So which one is defilement, which one is not defilement? So today Luang Pi would like to make it clear, so you have some indicator to tell you this is defilement, this is not defilement. But when it comes to the name, there are so many names, there are so many characteristics. You think of laziness. Laziness is also considered a defilement of mind. It causes the mind to be weak, causes the mind to be lazy. When we feel lazy, we don't go meditate. When we feel lazy, we don't want to study Dhamma. That's the defilement of mind. Okay, but if your mind is pure, bright, and energetic, you would get up and do things that you're supposed to do. Today, 2 o'clock, you're supposed to go to the Dhamma class. So no matter what happened, that's not the reason for you to skip the class. So you just go to the class anyway. Okay? And I found this teaching, one teaching of the Buddha is quite interesting. He said these defilements are such a coarse nature. The Buddha point to the nature of mind. You think of coarse is opposite to refine. When the mind is coarse, the mind get crowded or get defined by the defilement. If this defilement were to take physical form, and if anyone were to try to store them somewhere, the entire universe would be too narrow. And even the Brahma world still too low. The Brahma world considered the highest realms in the cycle of existence. It's considered still too low. There would be no space sufficient to contain these defilements. That is why you hear many names, many terms that try to describe the defilements, which today we get to another group of defilement, which is called Mala. Okay, it's grouped in the Dhamma Group 9. And the defilement is like this. Why there are so many? If you think of the primary color, the yellow, the red, and the blue. These three colors can make up to many color shades, right? Can be 1,000, 10,000, million of shades. But it's coming down to these three main colors. It depends on the portion and the percentage of each color that mix together. It gives you different color. That's the idea of the defilements. Sometimes there is a reddish, yellowish, greenish, brownish. There are many layers of color, but all of these come from the combination of some of these color. Same thing in the defilements. When lust mixed with greed, it become another thing. When greed mixed with delusion, it become another thing. So that is why the Buddha said there's so many of them. If we were to store them in the physical, physical form, we just cannot find enough space to store all of the defilements. And here is the picture that help us to probably quickly and easy to understand of the idea of defilement and non-defilements. If human mind is filled with merit, the mind become pure. Merit or punya in Pali mean cleansing. It's a cleansing agent. The more merit we cultivate, the more cleansing agent that we develop to cleanse the defilement in the mind. So people who make merit a lot, observe precept, meditation, making donation, study Dhamma, their mind has developed more of the cleansing agent or the power of the purity of the mind. The mind become purer, and one day the mind will become purest. And at the purest state of mind, that is called Nibbana. For us, it's a long journey. At the moment, most of human mind are like this. The mind is crowded and is defined with the defilements. Sometimes we call demerit or papa. And the reason it's defined because it has the kilesa in the mind in different levels. Some people have a lot of greed, some people have a lot of anger, some people have a lot of delusion, some people have a combination. That's why we are different. Why some people so kind but easy to get angry. Why some people want to give, want to help others, but when someone says something bad, it turns that person to be someone else, who get mad and want to harm somebody right away. So, and that's because the defilement that define that individual minds. So the story or the concept of defilement is something that we should understand. And if we know what they are, we know how they work, perhaps, and if we are mindful, we can do something about it when it takes control of our mind. And one monk asked the Buddha, what is the ultimate goal of spiritual being? Someone who wants to realize Nibbana, someone who walked down this Noble Eightfold Path. The Buddha said the final destination or the final goal of you guys following the teaching, the teaching of the Buddha or my doctrine is to uproot the defilement from your mind, the greed, the hatred, and the delusion. And when that job is done, your spiritual goal has been achieved. So in other words, as long as the mind still defined, we still have going to reborn and reborn for a countless lifetime until we come to know the teaching from the great teacher, and then we start to accumulate merit. We start to understand the idea of law of karma, the idea of defilements. So all of these, they are connected. Because of the defilement cause us to do the karma, and because of the karma, it comes with the result, and that result keep us to reborn. This is the vicious circle that we don't know, and the reason we don't know because the mind is filled with defilements named ignorance. And here are the terms that mentioned in the Dhamma Group 9 when it comes to mala. Mala or stain, the 9 stain. To see if you know some of these, I will explain and give you example in a moment. Anger, okay, seem too familiar with that. Or goda. Makha is another term in stain, translate to depreciation. Itsa is a Pali, or jealousy or envy. Okay. Matcharya is stinginess. Maya is deception. Sathaya is boastfulness. Musawata, this is the precept number 4, false speech or incorrect speech. Papicha, evil wish. And Michatiti, okay, this is in the Noble Eightfold Path. We know the Sammatiti, this one called Michatiti, which is opposite, the wrong view or the wrong understanding. Okay, so these are the 9 stains. The Buddha grouped them together so we can learn these 9 things. This stain, when we have all of these stain in the mind or some of these stain, again, it's hinder our spiritual progress. When you may love to meditate, but deep down, every time you meditate, if someone make noise, if something disturb you, you are so ready to get angry and get agitated by those disturbance. So that's the nature of the mind, that you need to understand your own self. Then you can work on it. Okay. What if the anger come? What should you do? What if envy come? What should you do? Our job is to find a way to lessen the power of this defilement until one day we have achieved the ultimate wisdom. Then we know how to remove them completely. But for the moment, none of us, as new to the Dhamma of the Buddha, we don't know how to remove them, but we know how to manage them. Look at this, the anger or kotha. Even the anger alone, if we look into the nature of anger, we may be surprised that there are something else that involved the step or the stage of getting angry. There are terms that involve all of this. Is another defilement, the defilement that root in anger, but they have different degree of harmfulness when it starts. Before we get to anger, we don't like it first. We feel like I don't like it. So the moment that you know that you start to dislike something, that's the moment that the anger already take control your mind, but in the lower level. You don't want to fight back, or you don't want to say something back to them right away. But as you continue to hearing that voice that people keep talking, you're getting agitated. You don't like it. And the longer you stay in that moment, the feeling of dislike, it become irritated. It elevate. You get irritated. You get annoyed. You get agitated of the sound, of the smell, of the situation that you are facing. And then longer than that, it become anger. You get angry now. When you get angry, it's like the water is being boiled to 100 degrees Celsius. Dislike, maybe it's warming up 10 Celsius, right? Agitated, maybe 50%, I don't know. but it's getting heat up. The water getting heat up until it boil 100 Celsius. So now you feel like you have to do something. You have an ill will toward a person that says something bad to you. You want to harm them, you want to say something bad to them. If you're not mindfulness, you will definitely do something unwholesome. You might break precept by harming others, by saying something bad, or even hurt someone physically. What if you cannot fight that person? You keep holding that bad thought toward them. It's called revenge. I don't see you today, but I don't like you. Next time I see you, I'm going to say something bad to you. That's called revenge. So if you don't see that person for 1 month, that means you keep holding that negative thought for 1 month. You keep the garbage in your mind for 1 month. You sleep with that, you wake up with that, you eat with that, you go to work with that feeling because you don't like what the person did to you. That's how anger, okay, work in human mind in different stage. Sometimes the simile used from the book is like you holding the hot charcoal in your hand. It's hot, it keep burning your hand and you don't like it. And you keep complaining, it's hot, it's hot, it's hot. I'm not happy. But you still keep holding that. You cannot let it go. And you try to find the person who you want to hurt, who you want to harm. Find way to, harm them back. If you don't see them, you keep holding that, hot charcoal in your hand and keep burning yourself. Once you find them, you try to throw that hot stone or hot charcoal to the person. Then you feel relief. See, angry when it started is like you lit up the fire and burning your mind first. You start burning your mind first for however long you want to. And this is how, ignorant being do, right? We just hate someone and we wish someone badly, wish someone get hurt or wish them harm. But the longer you keep on that feeling, the longer you keep harming and hurting yourself. Your mind is impure. You cannot meditate well, you cannot observe precept well. You will lack of energy to do good because your mind is occupied by anger. So anger is not difficult to understand. But here the point is, you start harming yourself right away before you hurt others. Because of that, the power of that angriness, you lit up this fire in your mind. So the sooner you acknowledge this, since the fire is still small, it's easier to extinguish. But once it's become a big set of fire, the water is already boiled, it's difficult to cool down. And the teaching of the Buddha is wonderful. He gives us the solution. He gives us the antidote for each level of angriness. Utilize the mindfulness, utilize the breathing meditation. Okay, when you don't like something, you bring your attention back to your breath. Breathe in, observe, breathe out and observe. Try to acknowledge it, release it, let it go. Or before you say something, the moment that you don't like it, you can count 1 to 10 to see how you feel before you say a word. If 10 is not enough, you count 1 to 20. When by the time you get to 20 or 30, you feel more relaxed. There is a pause moment in your mind because the mind is busy with counting the number. Then it gives rise to a certain level of understanding of the situation. Then perhaps you say something opposite. Instead of say something bad, you may turn yourself to understand the situation and forgive that person. Okay? And this is the beauty of the Dhamma. We learn the Dhamma not just to understand the theory part. We want to know how to put into practice so we can live life happy. Because the teaching of the Buddha mainly is about knowing dukkha, what caused dukkha, and know how to manage the dukkha. That's the idea of the Four Noble Truths. Okay, so now what we learn today also is applicable. You can apply into day-to-day life when you facing this kind of defilement or mala. Second is called depreciation or makkha. What is depreciation? When I hear this term for the first time, I think of this monk. The monk named Tevatatta. the notorious monk that most Theravada Buddhist followers, we seem to know this monk, right? The monk who tried to take control the Sangha, and he wants to be in charge of the Sangha. He is the one who asked the Buddha to accept a certain rules, and the Buddha reject that. For example, monk not allowed to eat meat. Monk have to stay in the forest. So he come up with his own idea of good monks. Then he approached the Buddha. The Buddha did not support that idea. And Theravada said, okay, if you believe or like my idea, you come and stay with me, become my followers. So many monks went with Theravada. Many of them. Theravada was born prince in the same level of Prince Siddhartha. Have a good intention to become a monk, have good intention to ordain. That means the person back then, when they hear the Dhamma of the Buddha, they understand the law of karma, they understand the nature of life, and they understand that, okay, there is a way to get rid of this cause of suffering and realize Nibbana. When they have faith in the teacher, after listening to that teaching, many of them ordain. So that means initially Theravada ordained with a good reason, wants to become a good monk, want to realize Nibbana. And when he ordained, he also practiced himself, trained himself. He was considered an advanced meditator. He can attain the jhana, he can multiply himself, he can do supernatural things as a human being cannot do. If you study his story, he was an amazing monk. And one day his will start to change. When people come to the temple, instead of asking for him, people ask for the Buddha. If the Buddha is not around, people ask for Sariputta, ask for Mokkallana, ask for some other monk, well-known monk. But people don't know who he was. And he feel like, I was born from a loyal family, just like Prince Siddhartha, and now I become a monk. Why don't you know me? Why not many people come and ask for me? With that little thought, negative thought, which is called the wrong view toward the teacher, start to develop the jealousy mind, the mala. And then he looked down his own teacher, which is the Buddha. And this is quite scary. When you depreciate something, you depreciate the value of your teacher, the value of your mom and your dad, people who do good, take good care of you, but you look down on their virtue. This is called makha. Definitely that person cannot grow. That person will end up suffering just like the Theravada. So in this world, there are many people like that. So make sure that you understand the makha and stay away from them. If someone do good for you, find a way to repay them back. If someone do bad to you, find a way to forgive and forget. Okay, not find a way to take revenge. That's not the teaching of the Buddha. Buddha once said, if even a person do a little bit things for you, okay, make sure you recognize that. Don't forget it. But don't keep the garbage in your mind. Don't just look at fault in others. Don't find fault in others. Sariputta is a good example. Sariputta received one spoon of rice from a man, old man. Not many times, maybe a few times. And that man, when he get old, he wants to become a monk. And when old people want to become a monk, not many preceptor or the senior monk want to take old monks to be his disciple because he's old. And then he seek advice from the Buddha. The Buddha said, okay, this man wants to become a monk. Who would like to take care of him? And Sariputta recognized that, oh, this person used to give me one spoon of rice. So I will take care of him. So he ordained him. And later on, this monk attained enlightenment later as well. Okay, so recognize it. If people do good to you, teach you the Dhamma, teach you how to meditate, teach you how to make donation, or teach you to be a better person. Okay, recognize that and find a way to repay them. The next one is itsa. Itsa is envy or jealousy. Okay, not difficult to understand. Jealousy mind is not good. Jealousy mind, we feel jealous, we feel envy when we feel like someone is better than us. If your friends start the the business career together, as a salesman, both of you work together, and all of a sudden one day your friend get promoted to be the manager, but not you, and you may feel jealous. Why not me? I think I'm better than him. I think I'm better than her. Why not me? So deep down, there is a jealousy. The mala, this stain has been developed. But in the outside, we may say something nice, we may smile, but deep down, there's a jealousy there. That why not me? It's supposed to be me. It's always me, myself. And that's the nature of human mind. So when envy arrives, then we have to be careful. We will talk about the antidote of each mala in a moment. But for now, just get to know what it is. Okay, and this one is easy to relate it. Okay, it's envy or the itsa. When you envy someone, your mind gets stained. It's unclear. It's not bright, and you will look at the face of that person, with this negative feeling all the time, and that is not good for yourself and your friends and the organization. Next one is Matchariya. Matchariya or stinginess. Stinginess is opposite to giving. There are three things that the Buddha suggests to give. First, the gift of material gift. Give food, give clothes, give money, give car, you name it. And the second kind of gift is forgiveness, a little bit more difficult. To forgive someone that you may not like, that may hurt your feeling. Sometimes it takes a very long time to forgive one or someone that you don't like. You see, that's the stain of the mind. The mind keep holding on that stain, cannot forgive. And the third one is called the gift of Dhamma, which is happen to be the best gift that you can give to someone. Because when you give the Dhamma, you give people wisdom, and when people have wisdom, people can be saved from they can be saved from suffering. They know, understand the nature of life, understand the law of karma, and understand the benefit of precept, benefit of meditation. That's the idea of giving Dhamma. And you benefit to the person that you give the Dhamma to, not only in this life, but you also save them for the future life. So don't be stingy, okay, to give. Next one is called Maya. Maya is deceit, right? What is Maya? Maya, you think of in the office environment, if the boss is in the office, everyone seems to be working hard, right? They don't check email, they don't check Facebook, they try to work hard when the boss is around. But when the boss is not there, the people behavior change. You can feel more relaxed, check email, a cup of coffee, chit chat with friends first, do personal things first, the job later. So this is called Maya. You're not honest to your duty. Maybe a man went to a party last night and came home late, get drunk, and he know that he's supposed to be in the office at 8 o'clock in the morning. And because of the party last night, he cannot show up on time for work. So he decided to call in and tell that, you know what, today I'm not feeling well, having stomach ache, headache. So he called sick. In fact, that's because, he went to the party. He's not really sick, he just need time to rest. So he decided to telling a lie and not show up for work. So this is called Maya. The person try to protect his credibility. So he cannot say that, I went to the party, came home late last night, so and I cannot go to work today. So they don't say that. So they say something else, let people understand that, the person is sick, he cannot come. And that's called Maya. There may be time that the new monks who come and ordain, and he come from a good life, wake up whenever he wants, eat whenever he wants. And when a man become a monk, he join the training, he need to wake up before 4:30. And then we have to show up 5 o'clock for the morning chanting and meditation session. And sometimes the monk feel lazy, feel like, it's too early. I like to take another 20-minute naps. So when the mentor wake him up, he just tell the mentor that, Luang Pi, today I have a headache, can I rest I cannot show up for the morning chanting. So he went back to sleep. But in fact, he's just being lazy. That's the idea of Maya. And this is something that the Buddha condemned. If you're not being open, if you're not being honest, it's so difficult for you to success, whether in the worldly life or in the spiritual life. Okay? It's not easy to find. It's not difficult to find out. Once it's become habit, then people would know this person usually, have the disease or deception mind. Next one is called Sataya. Sataya is boastfulness. Sataya, you do a little good thing and then you make it big. That's the idea. It's called boastfulness. You know little, you make it huge. Sometimes some people have a meditation experience, feel good a little bit, but when time to share meditation experience, they make it something significant. So you're like, oh, I see the brightness, I see the Buddha, perhaps I have seen Nibbana already. That's called boastfulness. Okay? You don't being honest to your experience. And Sataya is not good. It's fall into the idea of telling a lie. Okay, makes little things make it big thing. Or when someone making donation, that sometimes from time to time we may see that such a person who make donation, they may make a donation a little bit, but try to let the world know that I make donation. Make the world know that I make donation. But in fact, if a person is really sincere, when we make a donation, ideally we don't expect things in return. We don't even want people to know that, I am the one who donate this. I met a man who donated 10 million to build a chapel, and he said, please don't put my name on it. I don't want people to know. But he know what he did. But for some people make like 10,000 donation and want to have the big name on the wall or something like this and try to make a big deal out of that. And if the temple cannot accommodate that request, then he might not want to make the next donation or something like this. This is not so nice. Okay, when it's come to the Dhamma follower who study the Dhamma of the Buddha, we should understand of the idea of making donation and what would be the best way to make donation so we can get the maximum benefit out of it. Okay, not to show off. Next one is something that you may be familiar with already, the precept number 4, right? The musawata, or the false speech, abstaining from incorrect speech, abstaining from divisive speech to break people into two groups, abstaining from harsh speech, something that impolite, and abstaining from idle speech, something that unbeneficial. We should speak something opposite. Not only is the truth, it speak from the loving kindness mind. Okay, it speak at the right timing, and it benefit. So this is the idea of right speech when that's explained in the Noble Eightfold Path. The next one is called papicha. Papicha or evil wish. Papicha, evil wish. People may wish to get rich in the wrong way, and that's something we may think of the bad thing. Let's say if the man want to get rich, so he may wish to find whatever way that make himself rich, whether corruption or bribe or cheat on the customer. So all of this is start from the papicha, the wishing in the wrong way, not content of the situation of the work that he is doing. So today he may go open up the shop at the restaurant and not many customers come. So the evil wish, this idea of stain or mala, when it's come to the papicha, so may feel like, okay, when the look at the store next door may have more customer, but for himself, I sell the same things. How come people don't come to my shop? So with that papicha, it start from there, and he may start to lie to the customer or not being truthful for the customer, maybe decrease the price, but also decrease the quality as well, in order to gain the benefit of his of the business at his restaurant. So this is the idea of the papicha. And the last one is called the wrong view. This is one of the most important topic. Okay, I think one of the most important teaching of the Buddha as well, because this is the Buddha emphasized here. He said there is no single factor so responsible for the suffering of living being as the wrong view, and there is no factor so potent in promoting the good of living being as the right view. So dukkha and sukha, happiness and suffering, starting from having right view or wrong view. If your view said, if your view think of precept is good, I should observe precept, I should find time to give, that's your view. And then your thinking follow. You make an effort to give, you make an effort to observe precept. But another person have opposite view. There's no benefit of giving, there's no benefit of observing precept. So I'm going to continue to breaking precept and I'm going to continue not to give. So these two persons end up different places, different experiences. A man who give and observe precept can have a happy life. A man who don't give and break precept will end up having suffering life. Okay? And all of this starting from view that different. Wrong view or right view. This is a big topic. When someone having the wrong view, that might be insane. So to understand the wrong view, I think it's better to start from the right view. If we know what is right, then we know what is wrong. There are teaching about the right view, okay, right view on the karma. Here, Luang Pi summarized, there are 10 views, okay, from this Apannaka Sutra. There are 10 right views that the Buddha teach. What are those 10? If we understand these 10 right view, then we understand what is wrong view. Number 1, giving has a result, the dana. Giving means give what? Material thing. Give food, give clothes, give donation, give all kind of things that you can give, including forgiving, including giving the Dhamma. Okay, that's called the giving. This one understandable. And the second thing, the act of service have a result. You render the service. Sometimes you don't give money. Sometimes you reach out when the community need help. When the temple need help, you go help cleaning the temple, help doing construction. When there are flooding, earthquake, volcano eruption, if anything you can do, okay, you help, okay, you give out the service to the community to make the situation better, and that also have a result. The offering has a result. Offering, the Pali called Buchayan. The another word is worshipping or veneration. There are a result of doing this, of worshipping. You think of the Buddha relics. Sometimes in Thailand there are ceremony to, they bring the Buddha relics from India and they go to many provinces in Thailand, allow Buddhist people to pay homage and worshipping the Buddha relic, and that also have a result. Or you may see that Buddhist people offering food. They put food into the small container and offer to the Buddha image. We call Bucha Khao Phra, offering food necessity to the Buddha. The Buddha is not there to receive it, but we want to offer anyway. So this kind of worship also have a result. It has a result, okay? And the good and the bad action yield a result. This is the karma. There's nothing get lost in the universe. Whatever you do, keep coming back to you, good and bad. What you say, what you do, what you think, it creates the karma. And number 5, this world exists. This world means this world, the human realms, we already here. And the next world, the life after death, also exists. And there are benefits of serving mother and benefit of serving father. Basically, you look after your mom, you look after your dad, and people who support you, they are the benefit, they are the result of that act of generosity, taking care of your parents. And the spontaneous being also exists. This may be difficult to grasp right away if people come from non-Buddhist background, or even some Buddhist people. That means when a man dies, he reborn right away. That's what it means. The spontaneous being exists. There is no gap. Die and born, it's happening right away. Say after this, if the mind leave the body, that mind reborn in another form of life. Depends on the karma that the person created when he or she was alive. And they're also an enlightened being, a man who achieve enlightenment, a man who can train himself until his mind get to the purest state of mind. We call enlightened being. Those people, they exist. So these are the 10 right view that mentioned in the Buddhist text. So opposite to this, consider the wrong view. Some people don't believe of the result of giving. Give or not mean nothing. Some people don't believe in the law of karma. Some people don't believe that there is a life after death. Some people don't believe in taking care of their parents. I have seen many of these phenomena in the U.S., in the Western world, where they just, when their parents get old, they just put them into the nursing home. So they pay, monthly fee for the nursing home to take care of their parents, and they may visit them once a month or every 3 months. That's it, and the rest, just let the parents stay at the nursing home. They're still serving their father and mother at a certain level, but there's an idea that to separate them from our life. But in Thailand is opposite. We usually live together in one big house until the father and mother die. So that's opposite. It's not obligation. We feel like the mom and dad are such a person that give us life. So we, in return, what we can do as a son and daughter, we should take care of them until the last breath. Something that it's more like a by default that we feel that we should do that, something like this. Okay, so these are the 10 right view. So the law of karma is simple in the concept. You reap what you sow. You do good, you get good. You do bad, you get bad. So start from understand and develop this view, then perhaps it motivates someone to start walking down this spiritual path to realize Nibbana and to end the rebirth cycle. And if we don't believe in the law of karma, we don't believe in the result of all of this, there's no point for us to cultivate merit. So the antidote for this 9 mala, the anchor, we develop other qualities, learn how to be patient, to be mindful, develop loving kindness and compassion. Depreciation, we learn to feel gratitude, to respect people who do good to us. Sympathetic joy, okay, that's the antidote for jealousy mind. Stinginess, of course, we practice generosity. Deception or the maya, not being honest, so develop truthfulness and honesty in life. Boastfulness, again, learn how to be humble, learn how to respect. Okay, no need to show off what we do. False speech, truthfulness and right speech is the antidote. Evil wish is contentment. And the wrong view, we develop the right view. Okay, so these are the generic idea of the antidote of the mala, the 9 mala. Okay, so that's the Dhamma Group 9 for today. So for the rest, we will be discussing the Dhamma Group 10, which again, there are 3 of them, but we will combine the first 2 together, which is this one, the kusalakamma and Akusalakamma, the 10 wholesome actions and the 10 unwholesome actions. Human being, we can commit karma in 3 ways. Through the body, through the speech, and through the mind. And then it becomes karma, good and bad. In this picture, you see positive karma and negative karma, bodily, speech, and mind. On the first column, the negative karma or Akusalakamma or unwholesome actions. In the body part, in the body section, destroying life, stealing, sexual misconduct. You think of the precept number 1, precept number 2, and precept number 3. And the speech, false speech, these are the precept number 4. One thing missing here is the precept number 5, which is intoxicants. So if someone kill, someone lie, someone steal someone's stuff, someone commit the sexual misconduct, and someone telling a lie, so they actually commit the unwholesome action, verbal and the bodily action and speech. Okay, and for the mind part that consider unwholesome, composed of 3 items: covetousness or greed, want something from someone that not belong to you; ill will. Okay, we learned the anger earlier. Ill will is the bad wish, right? Wish to harm someone. And the wrong will. Wrong will, we just learned the 10 right will, which is opposite to the 10 wrong will. And this group, again, is the Buddha called the Akusalakamma, or unwholesome action. So the first 1, 2, 3, and 4 here. Okay, precept number 1, precept number 2, precept number 3, and precept number 4. This one, most of us, we are familiar with. That make it easier to understand the concept of the wholesome and unwholesome action in the first half. Here, in the wholesome action, same thing. This is opposite, right? Abstaining from killing, abstaining from stealing, abstaining from sexual misconduct. This also abstaining from false speech, slanderous speech, divisive speech, and idle chatter. All this, again, is the precept number 1 to number 4. If you do break this precept, if you break precept 1, 2, 3, 4, that means you commit unwholesome action. But if you secure the precept 1, 2, 3, 4, that means you create a wholesome action for yourself. And for the mind part, covetousness is unwholesome. So abstaining from covetousness, is considered wholesome. This drive by greed. Okay, the evil drives by anger. So abstaining from covetousness, you can have less greed in mind, less craving. Abstaining from evil, okay, less anger, less agitated mind, and develop the right view, the 10 right view that we just discussed earlier. So these are the 10 wholesome action and the 10 unwholesome action. We compare them side by side like this. It's easy to understand. So the teaching of the Buddha is quite deep. And please don't get lost. Here you don't see the 5 precept. The precept number 5, which talking about abstaining from intoxicants. But you see precept number 1, 2, 3, 4, that consider wholesome and unwholesome. If you break precept, it's unwholesome. If you secure that precept, it's considered wholesome action. And where is does it mean that we allow to drink? Does it mean that alcohol is okay? No, it's not. Okay, so this teaching, you found it in the very first teaching of the Buddha. When the Buddha gave the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, he already mentioned what considered wholesome and what considered unwholesome. If you pay close attention, you will be noticed that, wow, the Buddha already mentioned that. He teach us to do good. He also pinpoint what is meant by good action, what is meant by not good or bad action. So this is the bad, and this is the good. Okay, that the Buddha mentioned for us and easy to practice. We can put into practice right away. So don't break precept. In other words, if you don't break precept, you create wholesome karma. If you continue to breaking precept, you continue to develop unwholesome karma, which will yield the suffering as a result at the end of your action. And here, if you look at 5 precepts, we saw this in the wholesome and unwholesome action, right, that the Buddha mentioned, refraining from killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, and false speech. One thing missing is intoxicant. And there is a reason for that the Buddha did not mention intoxicant in the first place, that he teach in the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. When you study the sutra, you need to imagine that, try to understand that who did the Buddha teach. Look at that context. The Buddha gave the teaching to the 5 ascetics who happen to be an advanced meditator. So if you talk to the ascetic or the monk, they don't drink by default already. And no need to mention of drinking. Okay, so later on, the Buddha teach the lay people. It's easy for the lay people to catch, just to make it clear that, you know what, stay away from intoxicant. And that become the concept of the 5 precepts. And here, another interesting thing, when we talk about precept, sometimes people misunderstanding that, okay, I think I can observe 5 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't drink, I don't kill, I don't steal, I don't lie, I honest to my spouse. I think I'm a good person. Is that always correct? Maybe not, right? A person can sit at home all day long, watching television, having a party, by keeping the precept clean, but he doesn't do any benefit. He doesn't do any good things. Sometimes observing precept make us become selfish. We just focus on ourselves and we don't care. We neglect the neighbor. We neglect the communities when they need help. The idea of the Dhamma student or people who study Dhamma need to develop the better quality of mind, not being a selfish person. If you know that you're not a harmful person, you don't want to kill, you can develop loving kindness and compassion. Wish people well and reach out when help is needed to help make the situation better when people are suffering. Okay, stealing, you can develop the right livelihood. Refraining from sexual misconduct, sense control, something that we should keep in mind. A man may be honest to his spouse, no sexual misconduct, but in his mind, when he see other women, he may develop a certain level of lust to the woman or the situation that he might be facing. But he know that, I cannot do that because I observe precept. If a person understand Dhamma, he can develop the Dhamma practice into the next level to develop the sense control, not allowing lust to control the mind. You see, there is plenty of room for us to practice the Dhamma, to be a better person, to develop a better quality of mind. And refraining from false speech so we can develop truthfulness. Okay, you do what you say what you do. And intoxicant, you develop mindfulness. If you know that, I don't drink, I don't intoxicate myself, but can you be more mindful of what you do? That's the idea. You always forget things, you always neglect, you always careless about things. That means you're not mindfulness. You're not mindful. Okay, so we can develop further than just observe 5 precepts by looking into this dimension of the Dhamma. And here, where the Buddha teach about the drinking alcohol and gambling, is called abhayamukha. Abhayamukha, the cause of or the road to ruins. The abhayamukha. When one get involved with these 5 things, one is walking down the path of destruction or the road of ruin. Drinking alcohol, roaming street at night, habitual partying, gambling, bad companions, laziness, all of this lead us to the destruction of life or the road to ruins. So try to stay away from these, things called abhayamukha. That's the 10 wholesome and 10 unwholesome action in the Dhamma Group 10. Now we come to the last group of the Dhamma Group 10. It's called Anussati. What is Anussati? There is the word sati here. Okay, we get to the meaning in a moment. In this teaching, the Buddha said one thing. Monks, when developed and cultivated, lead to solely the disillusionment, dispassion, cessation, peace, insight, awakening, and extinguishment. What exactly that the Buddha referred to? The word sati, the Buddha referred to 10 Anussati, okay? One of these. Something that he suggests us to recall often. You should often recall or recollect one of these 10. Sati is mindfulness. Anussati is constant mindfulness. That's another term. That's new term that we learned today. It's anu and sati. Okay, anu means little. A little sati, little and little connect together. It's become constant of sati. It's like the dot of sati. We reflect on that one of these 10 things of 10. And the reason we do this because of this, that we talk about the defilement in the mind, we talk about hindrances in the mind. Human mind is always, every day is bombarding with stimuli, positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative. But most likely, we are bombarding with negativities all day long. The moment we wake up and the moment we go back to bed, it makes the mind crowded, it makes the mind defined. If we have sati, if we are mindful, by recollect one of these sati, one of these 10 techniques that the Buddha suggests, it keeps us the mind coming back to this side, to the clarity of mind, not this side. So the mind is always like this: positive, negative, like, don't like, craving, no craving, anger, no anger. It keep the mind. It's always keep the mind attached to the craving, because the mind always define. See something the mind like, see something the mind don't like, the mind run away. See something the mind like, the mind go after it. The mind cannot be still inside the body as it's supposed to be. With having sati that developed through these 10 kind of sati, the mind can stay inside the body. And the longer the mind stay inside the body, there is a better chance for the mind to stay still and maintain the peace and calm state of mind. When you think of the Buddha, it's called Buddha Anussati. How do you think of the Buddha? You never seen the Buddha. You don't know how the Buddha look like. So we can visualize the Buddha image that you have in your house, or maybe one kind of Buddha image that you feel easy to think of, that you feel comfortable with. So you have that image of the Buddha somewhere in the back of your head. So when you close your eye, you can welcome that image. Allow the Buddha to stay in your mind. And that's the idea of recollect. We call Buddha Anussati. And then once you have the image of the Buddha, deeper than that, you can recall the virtue of the Buddha. Who is the Buddha? Why he is worth respect? The Buddha is a purity. He has a purity of heart, right? His mind is free from defilement. He has compassion. That's why he teaches us how to free ourselves from suffering. And he also has a wisdom, highest wisdom. He can train himself from ignoble man to be a noble person. So by doing this, keep the mind occupied with the Buddha, picture of the Buddha, the virtue of the Buddha. The mind stay opposite side to the defilement. It stay on this side. Dhamma Anussati, recollection of the Dhamma or the teaching of the Buddha. When we think of the Dhamma, when you get angry, you think of loving kindness, something like this, and make the mind feel relaxed, and the mind can be saved from that anger. When you feel stingy, you don't want to give, you can recall the benefit of giving. Think of Dhamma that you learn. Then it softens the mind, you might want to reach out and help others more. The Sankha Anussati, recollection of the virtue of the Sankha. You think of, you may be having the teaching monk that you admire, following their teaching. There are many great teachers out there. There are many groups of well-known Sankha out there in this world. So you can recall their virtue. When you think of the monk, there's no room for the Mara to sit in the mind. Same thing. When you think of the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sankha, this one. In Buddhism, we have triple gem. This one we learned already. The Buddha gem, the Dhamma gem, and the Sankha gem. So we can recall the virtue of each gem in our mind. And that gives us the peace of mind. When we are suffering, when we are scared, when we are worried, if you think of the Buddha, the mind feels relief, the mind feels safe and protected. Myself, I live in the forest like this, At the beginning of my journey, sometimes I get scared because no one's around in this forest. It's only me. So when I meditate, I think of the Buddha. I visualize that I am meditate with the Buddha. So I am protected. So it gives me a peace of mind in the forest, like a condition like this. So in your situation, okay, when you travel, when you're on the airplane, when you get nervous about the danger that might come, so you may think of the Buddha. Okay, so then help us to regain consciousness, and the mind will stay with the Buddha. With that mindfulness, it let go all the fears and worry. Or some people may, comfortable with thinking of the Buddha. They may have the Dhamma that they like, that can save them from that particular situation, like forgiveness or being honest, or you think of hiri otapa, anything. You don't want to break precept, whether someone see it or not, because there's a benefit of observing precept or something like that. It depends on the situation, and you have come across many kind of Dhamma, and you should remember them. You should be able to put them into practice. So recall that Dhamma that you learn. And the Sangha, again, there are noble Sangha, the Arahant in the past, and the conventional Sangha, the Sangha that ordained, like myself and monk that you meet down the road. Most of us, we are conventional Sangha. And the noble Sangha, you think of those Arahant being in the past, okay, the student of the Buddha. So there are such a people, and you may recall, okay, the virtue of the monk that you admire, whether the monk in the past, like Sariputta, Mokkhalana, Mahakassapa. There are many great monks that you can learn, study their life story, and perhaps it can motivate you to do good, just like what those people did in the past. Okay, I have many of the role model monks from the sutra that I study. So in a certain situation, I might think of this monk, what he did when he faced this kind of situation, then he can overcome that problem. And then we look at their characteristic, we look at the way they see the world, and then we can adopt that virtue into us. So that's the Sankha Anussati. Okay, and the next one is called Sila Anussati. Sila Anussati, you think of your own ethical conduct. There are many cases in the past that in the Buddha time, when people are facing suffering in life, they think of their precept, ethical conduct. You know what? In my whole life, I never steal someone from something. I never steal something from someone. I never kill. I never lie. So may the power of the precept that I have been observed and keep it pure to save me from this, dangerous that I am facing, and then the problem goes away. Okay. So when you think of your own good deed, it gives you a peace of mind. And the Jhakhanussati, you think of the recollection of generosity, the dana that you have made, the giving that you have done in the past, little or more, it doesn't matter. So every time you think of that, it always brings you a joyful mind. I used to, I still remember that when Long Pi was watering the water, and then there was the dog walked past by. The dog looked very hungry, looked very thin, it looked very thirsty. So I just give him the water, put the water in my hand, and the dog just came. I know he is fear, but with his thirsty, he may not have food for a few days. He just came directly to me and just take the water from my hand directly. And by looking at that, I look at the eye of the dog. I see how the dog feel. I feel like, man, please, take all the water you need. And I never forget that. Every time I think of that, I feel joy that at least I has a chance to save one of the dog life that may get thirsty. Okay, so it's always bring us joy when we think of our generosity. And the third one is Tevata Anussati. Tevata is, they are a deity. Okay, human beings who do good, and when they die, they reborn in heavenly realms. They become heavenly beings. So we may think of the virtue which make people become a deva, and that's something that the Buddha mentioned. This is the virtue that all the deity or the deva, they cultivate then when they were alive. It's called hiri and ottappa together. Hiri means moral shame, ottappa means moral fear. Moral shame means a person feels shameful to do bad, whether in public or private. And the reason they feel shameful because they recognize their own virtue. Let's say, I'm a monk, I'm not supposed to kill any being. If the monk start to kill even a little insect like mosquito or ants, monk lack of hiri. And the ottappa is the consequence of that action. that if we kill something, there's a negative karma that we create. So it's going to yield the result in the future. We may born with unhealthy physical body. We may born handicapped. We may born in an unhappy realm or something like this. So these two things, these two virtues make a human being to reborn as a deity or a deva. It's called Devata Anussati. Okay? So there may be time that you may feel like, hey, nobody knows if I do this. If I cheat on the customer doesn't know. I still can make more profit. But if you have hiri and ottappa, you will not do that. This will strengthen your will toward the law of karma, right? If you do good, you get good. You start to cheat on the customer, even though you may make money. The money will, go to some place else. The money will not stay with you because it's come from the wrong way of, doing business. So hiri ottappa, this is the Dhamma that one should cultivate together. It's called Devata Anussati. And the next one is called Marana Anussati. Marana means death. Marana means death. We were born at point A, and we know eventually at point B, life will stop. Everyone's die, whether we like it or not. It's a painful truth. The truth of suffering. Birth is suffering, decay is suffering, death is also suffering. Marana Anussati. We know the birthday and we don't know the last day, but we know that death is coming. When we think of death, it helps regain the calm state of mind. When we get angry to the person so badly, at the end of the day, we still get mad of the person. If we reflect on Marana Anussati or the death, the Dhamma of death, whether someone we like or someone we don't like, we die anyway. So if we were to die tonight or if we were to die tomorrow, is it worth it to keep on getting mad at that person? Perhaps it helps the mind to let go and direct the mind, towards something else that, more beneficial than just keep on holding that resentment toward the person who hurt our feelings. So Marana Anussati, the Buddha suggests us to reflect more often, not just one time, more often. When the mind feels sad, when the mind feeling down, when the mind is unhappy, if you run out of things to think of, you think of death. Oh, you know what? Today I'm just boring. I'm just going to watch movie all day long. So the mind occupied by laziness. And that's the defilement. And if you think, oh, you know what? If today were my last day, is it worth it for me to sit here and watching movie? Perhaps maybe I should go to the temple, talk to the monk, or study Dhamma, or meditate, or do something else, that more benefit than this. Okay, so there are many benefits if you really look into the idea of Marana Anussati or the reflection on death. Okay, because time we have is so limited, then we will start to be aware of the time that we have left, and that's one benefit that Long P see and I use a lot when thinking of death. Okay, and the next one is called Kaya Khata Sati, the mindfulness of the body. Kaya Khata Sati. One way of looking at this is to use the Kaya Khata Sati, reflect on the part of the body which will help us to deal with lust. This is one of the good meditation and one of the most powerful meditation technique when it's come with how to deal with lust. In the old day, when the young monk come and ordain, sometimes the teaching monk, the great monk, the teacher back then suggests the new monk to look at the dead body, go to the crops, look at the body that died 1 day, that died 7 days, that died 2 weeks. Then the mind let go lust, the mind come back, because nothing is beautiful underneath the skin. And this is the meditation object that every preceptor give to the new monk. When a man ordained, he will learn the first meditation technique from his preceptor, and this is the one. The preceptor would teach that Kesa, head hair, Loma, body hair, Nakha, nail, Thanta, teach ตะโจ skin เกสาโลมานะขาทันตาตะโจตะโจทันตานะขาโลมาเกสา It's a requirement for every single preceptor to give the meditation object to the new monk. Why? Because when a man become a monk, most of the time the monk would go meditate. And when the new monk meditate, the mind usually go back home, go back to the world where he from, the world of sense pleasure, the happiness that come from food, come from shopping, come from entertainment, come from human animal object. And when the monk try to meditate, the mind cannot stay inside the body. The mind go out all the time to those objects of craving. And preceptor suggest, you know what, next time if you have lust, if the mind worry, you reflect on this. Think of head hair, thinking of your hair, the hair when you young, the hair when you become adult, the hair when you get old, from black hair to gray hair. The body hair, same, the nail, the teeth, the skin have more wrinkle. Okay? The nail, the teeth is not the same nail, same teeth that we have, because in the cell level, okay, in one 300 million cell die every minute. So the hair today is not the hair from last week. So by reflecting on this back and forth, the mind let go lust, the mind get bored of this sense pleasure, then the mind come back and stay still inside the body. Then the monk can continue to meditate. So here is the 32 part of the body. All of this point to that the body is loathsomeness. There's nothing beauty inside human body. It's the home of disease. For us, an ignorant being, we still cling on this physical form. We still feel like, oh, this person is handsome, this person is beautiful. But through the lens of the Buddha and the Arahant, those wise beings, there's nothing in this world is beautiful. By reflecting on this, the mind let go. When the mind let go, where can it go? It come back. It doesn't go toward that object of lust. The mind let go, the mind come back. The last one, I'm sorry, not the last one. The Anussati number 9, Anapanasati. Anapana mean breath. So the mindfulness of the breath. The mindfulness of the breath. These are one of the well-known meditation technique that we seem to familiar with, Anapanasati, to develop the sati through the utilizing the breath. And you can check out, there is a sutra called Anapanasati Sutra that the Buddha explained how to practice Anapanasati by bringing the mind back, by bringing our attention back to the breath. When we breathe in, we know that we breathe in. When we breathe out, we know that we breathe out. When we breathe in long, we know that we breathe in long. When we breathe out long, we know that we breathe out long. And each time that you breathe in, not only you know short or long, you know how you feel, you know how the whole body feel. Any uncomfortable feeling, any comfortable feeling, any thought that come to the mind, it happen very quickly as you observe your own breath. And there are many techniques when it comes to Anapanasati, okay? Because breath is just the air. The air go in, the air come out. The air go in, the air come out. Some people put the attention here. They don't following the breath in. They just keep attention here in this area between the lips and the nose, the nostril and the lips. So you place your attention here. You know that the air go in and it's go to your lung, and now the air come out, pass your lung and come out, and you may feel that there is a heat in this, around this area. There is the heat, there is the air that coming in and coming out. So as long as you know that there are air going in and the air coming out, and your mind stay here, that means you are mindful in that moment. If you can do this for 5 minutes, that means you are mindfulness. You have mindfulness for 5 minutes. In other words, when a man is mindful, a man also have concentration. So we cannot have concentration without being mindful. You are actually meditate on the breath, but we call, the Buddha call it sati. He did not call it Anapana Samadhi, but he called Anapanasati. The ability to know that your mind is here at the moment. And the longer you stay there, eventually it becomes samadhi, it becomes concentration. Some people use the counting technique When you breathe in, you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then when you get to 5, you breathe out, you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And another in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, breathing in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, breathing out. So there are various kind of technique that you can work around when it comes to anapanasati. But the idea is to have the mind nearby the body. If the mind cannot stay inside, at least have the mind nearby around the breath, around the nose, around the lips, in this area. And eventually, the mind can be a little bit more obedient. Then we can welcome the mind to go back inside the body, to stay with the body at all time. As the mind stay with the breath, you know that is the mind have lust, the mind get angry or not, the mind agitate or not. So this is the beauty of this technique. That's why it's called anapanasati. It helps us to regain the sati. And if your sati is fast enough, you can catch, now I don't like something. Now I want something. Want to eat, want to watch movie, want to play, want to go shopping. You see as you breathe. You see your feeling as you breathe in and breathe out. And that's when you know that the mind is being mindful. When the mind is being mindful, that means you stay on the positive side of the mind, not the clarity side of the mind, not the darkest side of the mind. Then you can continue to do your work, or you can continue to meditate. Don't just give up and don't want to continue to do good things. And the last one, upasama Anussati, is the recollection of peace or the virtue of Nibbana. Okay, so this might be something that we may not familiar with. How can we think of Nibbana? Because we never experience Nibbana. It's just, for most of us, it's like just the concept that, okay, when the mind is free from lust, from anger, from delusion, the mind will experience something called the ultimate peace. And that peace refers to Nibbana. But for some people, it works very well to often think of Nibbana. There are many benefits that come with this. Because the highest, the ultimate goal of someone, following the teaching of the Buddha is to get rid of defilement, to realize Nibbana. So when we think of Nibbana, often it's not only help us to remind, it's a reminder of who we are and where are we going in life. It keeps us on the path of wholesomeness or path of purities. If we keep breaking precept, that means we further and further away from Nibbana. So when we think of Nibbana, we think of the law of karma, we think of all of these consequences. It helps the mind to, it helps us to regain the consciousness of mind and stop breaking precept, stop being lazy, come back to meditation, come back to study Dhamma, come back to the temple. Okay, all of this is the benefit of when one thinking of Nibbana and the benefit of realizing Nibbana. Khanti paramang tapotitikha, we hear this term a lot. The patient forbearance is the highest austerities. Nippanang paramang vatanti buddha. The unbinding on Nibbana is the highest. That's what the Buddha said. Okay, the highest. Unbinding refer to the mind with no craving, no attachment. The mind that free from bondage. The mind that free from the fire of lust, of anger, of delusion and ignorance. So if one recall the virtue of Nibbana more often, it helps the mind to kind of incline toward this, purity, incline toward this path to realize Nibbana. So these are the 10 things that the Buddha suggests us to reflect more often. It's called 10 Anussati in the Dhamma Group 10. Okay, and that should be information that Luang Pi would like to share with everyone today. I hope it's not too much. Okay, so keep this picture in mind. What we learned today about merit, demerit, about punya, about papa, about defilement, about mala, right? Today we learn mala, the 10 stain. And we learn about wholesome and unwholesome. Unwholesome refer to mala, right? And we learn about the 10 Anussati, these 10 recollection. When one keep recollect one of these 10 subjects that the Buddha suggests, it helps that person to regain the clarity and calm state of mind. And that means your mind, even though the defilement is still there, but you lessen the power of defilement in that moment. If you meditate and you think of movie, the mind go after movie. Oh, it's 8 o'clock now, it's time for that movie. If you are mindful, you can catch that feeling that the mind is not with the object. The mind crave for a movie. The mind becomes stained. The mind become unwholesome. So we notice that utilize the mindfulness technique. You can use one of these techniques. Can think of the Buddha, can think of the Dhamma, can think of the Sila, can think of, Marana Anussati. Okay, if I go watch movie today and if I die tomorrow, then I cannot meditate. Then I'm gonna be wasting my time. So by thinking like this, it stops the mind from go after the movie or go after shopping, eating. Then perhaps you can continue to meditate in a peaceful mind. All right, so that's the idea. Okay, so that's pretty much information of today's lecture. It's our last lecture, which combine the three teaching in the Dhamma Group 9 and Group 10. This one, we learn Mala, and we learn 10 wholesome and unwholesome action. And the last subject, we learn the Anussati 10, Anussati 10, the 10 object of regular reflection. So please not only know what they are. For me, I always suggest all the students to find way to connect them together. Every Dhamma, they connected. Okay, they connected to each other. You learn defilement. How defilement connect to the law of karma. How the law of karma connect to the right view. So all of this is like the dot that students need to find way to connect them, and it's gonna make your Dhamma study more enjoyable and more exciting. Not just try to memorize the term, not just try to understand the definition. Okay, know that, put into practice, and continue to learn. Look back and connect the dot. Okay, and the bottom line of study Dhamma, whether you study here at the elementary level, intermediate level, advanced level, or any Dhamma that you will be learning for the rest of your life, is coming down to this thing about understand the nature of life, that hey, there is dukkha, there is problem in life, and how can we manage that dukkha. That's the teaching of the Buddha, to utilize the Dhamma that we learn to help us to live life happy and happier, not to be overwhelmed with the dukkha or suffering that we might be facing from time to time in life. Okay, so any thought, question before we finish? Luang Pi will prepare the exam, and I at the moment I think the whole month of December, okay, you can take an exam any day. So that means from this day onward, you can start to prepare. You can go back to the lecture in the past, prepare yourself, and whenever you feel ready, okay, by the end of this year, make sure you do the exam and then submit the exam through the Google form. And we haven't discussed about the graduation date yet, but should be sometime in January. So don't worry about that part. Assignments, please, okay, find time to submit the assignment. If you cannot finish in time, okay, you can submit it at the end, by the end of this month. Question from Bebe. May I know what is the main factor causing jealousy? Okay. If it's because of greed, okay, how do we away jealousy with sympathy and joy? Okay. If we look at this picture, we see that there are the three main root of poison: the lopha, the dosa, and the moha, right? All of them, they stem from the big boss called the avijja or ignorance. Jealousy is somewhere here. Okay, jealousy stems from lopha, which is sometimes we call greed and lust. The word lopha, another word that makes sense, is called love. Love and lopha can use interchangeably. The reason we have lopha, because we love ourselves. This is delusion. We love ourselves the most. That's why everything has to be me, has to be mine. I have to be success. I have to be better than others. And then it disguised to be other form of defilements. Jealousy is one of them. So jealousy stems from the root of lobha, not dosa and moha, right? But somehow jealousy can mix with moha as well. There are many degrees of jealousy. Some people have a very envy mind, doesn't like anyone who better than them. Some people still okay, from time to time, but not a lot. Okay, there are many level of that. So first question is yes, okay, it come from lobha, and how can we, away or jealousy or sympathy, joy. So when it comes to deal with this defilement, again, for me, all of this defilement in one teaching, which Luang Pi really like, one of my favorite teaching, the Buddha said, with every single defilement in this world, if they are in front of you, many of them, thousands of them, millions of them, many defilement, if you have mindfulness, you can be safe from all of that. And that's the good news. Whether lobha, whether dosa, whether moha, if you are mindful in that particular situation, the moment that you're about to feel jealousy toward your friends, someone, you have a pause moment. You recognize that, hey, the mind is become defined by this stain. The mind is not wholesome. The mind is not at peace. You don't feel happy because someone is better than you. You know that the mind lost peace. The mind lost the state of calm and relax already, because I don't like, that person get promoted. The jealousy start take control your mind. So we can practice the mindfulness. We cannot remove them, no matter how hard we try. For the moment, we cannot remove them. We're not that arahant. We don't have that ability or that wisdom yet. But we can work on develop the mindfulness skill. This 5 minutes, we may feel jealousy toward that person. And the next 10 minutes, we may get mad at another person. You see, that's how the mind works. So, but the Buddha said, you know what? It doesn't matter what kind of defilement that will come and attack you. Be mindful, then you'll be safe. Because when you're mindful, you hit the pause moment. Hey, don't think like that. You a good person. They deserve something better. The reason you don't get promoted, there must be a cause, right? You look at the cause. Maybe you have to work hard next year. Maybe you have to show, your performance, better performance next year. Then, you get the result. Instead of turn yourself against your friend, you look into yourself, what is wrong with me, not with them. Then, we work on that. Then it become is the wise or smart way of looking at the situation. Then we work on cause. Okay, I need more training. I'm gonna do better next time. Then perhaps I get promoted too. So this year is for them. Then happy for you. Then you can feel more the pure or the real sympathetic joy toward the person, because you are mindful. Hey, they deserve it. They deserve it. Okay, and then you can be sabai. You can continue to be sabai, continue to be relaxed. Okay, just develop mindfulness. It saves you from all of these bad guys. Stay positive, stay excited, and feel grateful for these opportunities. And hopefully we can continue to learn, encourage everyone to continue to learn the intermediate and advanced Dhamma program as well. Okay, so let's pay respect to the triple gem, then we can take a break.